I'm not sure the sound's coming through.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beautiful wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Would you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please, won't you be my neighbor?
Hi, neighbor. I'm so glad you could join us today. And I'm so glad to have Willie with us here today as well. And you brought something very special to share with us, didn't you?
Indeed. Today I'm bringing information about the way we develop courses at Florida Atlantic University.
You know, I was thinking about how much our neighborhood has actually changed. And when you think about how much we've changed over the years, what actually comes to mind?
Oh, so many things. When we started, we actually were teaching a face-to-face, fully synchronous on-ground course called Cell 1001. And in that course, we were instructing our faculty in how to do instructional design.
Oh, wow, that must have been a lot of work for everyone.
It could be quite the handful. We met for a full semester once a week, and we would go through all the things of laying out a course, how to set up your rubrics, how to make sure you're using Bloom's enabled verbs, etc. But instead of giving that as a service that we were doing for the faculty, we were actually training the faculty on how to do that and build their own courses.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, in seeing that that was quite a bit of work for everyone, what made us change that shift? What shifted or that pivot from going from that type of course design?
I would say at its core, we're a service department.
Mm-hmm.
And so as the organizational structure changed, we decided to make sure we flip that to actually meet the needs of the faculty and the students.
Mm-hmm.
What distance learning students needed were really high quality, well-developed courses, not faculty who were functioning as instructional designers. Much like we say, right tool for the right job, I believe also right specialist for the right service.
Mm-hmm.
So we took our face-to-face class and retooled it as an online process.
Gotcha. And that change can be quite scary, can it?
Quite a bit. There are times that they say the only people who like change are wet babies. Everyone else would rather things stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation, we decided, let's start slowly. So we moved from the classroom to moving to an online environment where we talk to them about, here's what we can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the faculty would come in, meet with an instructional designer one-on-one, and we would sit at a table together and talk through all their intents and their desires for their course. And then we would start slowly developing that with them. And when we had 5 or 10 professors coming through in a semester, that worked really well.
Okay, so when we had more than 5 or 10 professors coming in a semester, where did we see that that was not sustainable?
We started developing a little bit of a backlog, if you will.
Gotcha.
That's where, as we grew in awareness, popularity, people realized this was a thing that was going on, that they could actually get help, and that we would focus on helping them. They said, well, I'm willing to dip my toe into the online pond. And they decided to give it a shot. So we wanted to find ways to streamline our process to make sure that's more and more effective. And as we did that, we went from let's sit down and just talk for a semester to let's start developing some different tools and instruments to help us effectively design these online courses.
Okay, so let's get into those tools and instruments. You brought us a map here today. We wanted to pull that up. And we can see that there are 4 main phases to this process. So let's go ahead and start with the planning phase.
All right, so with planning, we actually meet with our professor, and originally we would ask them 3 core questions. We would ask them, number 1, at the end of a given module, having reviewed your course objectives, looking at the module itself, that week, what is it you want to empower your students to be able to do? And when they give us those answers, we would take that and develop our blueprint based on it. And we used to work on turning those into our pedagogically sound Bloom's level objectives. And we would go through and build an entire blueprint before we ever started the course.
Oh, wow. That's such a great word, empowerment, especially when you're discussing what students are capable of doing. So, and it's great because once they know what they can do, then they actually can see that they are able to master whatever skill that is. But how is it that the professor is able to see that? Or how is it that we're also able to evaluate that as well?
So the way we do that is we check first to make sure those objectives were measurable and that they were student-centric. We wanted to make sure the student could read that objective and understand what was expected of them, and that the faculty member could read that and understand how they could actually measure that to see if the student did it or not. And those things really smooth out the process of a student going, what am I supposed to be learning? Is this going to be on the test? What are the intricacies of what this course is about? Now, one of the challenges became we could end up spending quite a bit of time working out what those verbs were, working out how that alignment happened. And in building the blueprint at the beginning of the process, one challenge became faculty felt hemmed in if they wanted to make changes during the process. As we go through our course build process, sometimes it's one of the few times a professor has someone outside of the department that's going line by line and crawling through their course with them. So of course, new ideas come up, creativity spurs, having a thought partner there, having a media team there to help develop whatever kind of video, audio interactivity they wanted, gave them new ideas. And we found ourselves rewriting the blueprint over and over each time a new change happened.
Okay. So before we get into talking about the constant changes, you mentioned that there were 3 questions. So what's that second question?
Good catch. The second question is, once you've described what you're empowering the student to do, how do they prove to you that they can do it? And that's where our assessments come in. Instead of viewing the assessment as quiz, exam, research paper, etc., look at it as how do you give the student an opportunity to prove they have developed the thing that you wanted them to do, that they've achieved the objective that you laid out for in that week or that module.
Okay, so now we know the goal, we know how to measure it, now we just need the tools to get there.
Right. So the third question is, what are you providing the student to enable them to reach that objective and to prove through that assessment that they have attained the skill and been empowered the way you want to empower them? And between these 3 questions, what is it you want to empower them to do? How do they prove to you that they can do that thing? And what are you providing them to enable them to get from assessment to objective? That alignment is how we developed our full planning document. We started out with it being strictly a blueprint. And by making that our pedagogical blueprint, like I said, we had to redo it and redo it over and over. So we moved into a different phase with it.
Okay, so to help with redoing it over, we noticed that sometimes even with the map, we end up having to go back. And things can get a little messy with that. And we do like our messy action in the department, but we don't like to always keep going back. Right. So you had a special way of trying to handle that with a speedy delivery. Right. And that's through, what's our next document?
Our next document we created was moving from blueprint to planning document. Our planning document takes the blueprint back to layman's terms. We allow the beginning of our course to be a conversation with the faculty, not we need to fill out this very strict, regimented, pedagogically sound instrument. And in the planning document, when a professor says, here's what I want them to do in module 2, we simply capture what they said. and move to, all right, now how do they prove it? And then they describe that, and what are you giving them? So it has the same layout as the blueprint, but it has a lot more flexibility. We don't dive into, do we have strict Bloom's verbs here and now? We go through and finish the rest of the course. And then when we're done, we come back to the planning document and produce the pedagogically sound blueprint from everything the professor has given us, which gives them the entire time to get new ideas and change things and realign the assignments, increase the rigor in the course, get into some active learning or some authentic assessment along the way.
Okay. And speaking of those authentic assessments, with our faculty, we know that faculty members, they're always busy with research, grading, teaching. So what's our speedy delivery in order to get all of that content from them?
The way we do that is we start with what material they already have. If they taught the course before, we ask for a copy of the old course shell. If they have not, we set up a Google Drive folder and say, all the material that you do have, can you load that in here for us? On a separate timeline, we align them with our media team to start recording whatever videos and other media they want to include in that course. We do all that during a phase called the course content phase. Once we have the plan and we know every single thing that they want to put in the course, we go into course content, and the whole goal of that phase is to collect all the information that they're saying they need for their course.
Okay. Oh, so it sounds like you're saying that by waiting until everything's ready, then we're able to start with then taking all of that content and putting it into Canvas or the particular LMS system that we'd be using. And that actually helps save our time and our faculty time as well. Faculty's
Indeed.
time.
It saves the faculty a lot of time. Rather than feeling like they have to have endless meetings to deliver a piece here, a piece there, we work together to get everything collected or curated if it's things that are pre-existing, so that when we are ready to start building the course, we have all the material and one instructional designer can sit down and develop the whole course, rather than I can work on module 1 today and maybe in 2 weeks when I have something else I can work on module 2.
Okay. And then once that instructional designer sits down to load the course and they finish loading all the content, does the faculty have access to the course after that?
Once we finish loading the course, we will tour them through the course, show them where everything is, how everything is laid out, and we give them what we call a rough draft of the course. Whereas phase 1 is developing the planning document. Phase 2 is going through and collecting the course content that was discussed in the planning document. Phase 3 is loading the Canvas shell in our template, which meets Quality Matters standards. But that template, loading all the content in that was collected in course content, discussed in planning, we give them a rough draft. The reason it's a rough draft is we also aim for high quality, which is something the Florida Board of Governors has asked for. And the high quality designation is born of 3 trained reviewers reviewing that course before it goes out. So once the course is built, they get a rough copy there, and then it goes into review. Our QA team will go through then and review the course according to a rubric, a checklist that's based on what the Board of Governors is seeking, what the university wants, and what Quality Matters has designated.
Okay, so with bridging that gap between high quality and Quality Matters, it almost sounds like we're bringing them towards that national recognition as well.
Absolutely.
If they want it.
When they finish a course with us, after we've gone through any revisions that were necessary, is made it through the review process, we close that course out, we ask the faculty to go and teach that course once, and then come back. And the final phase is to actually submit that to Quality Matters. We cover the process. We pre-review it before we submit it to Quality Matters. And then we shepherd the process with QM and with that faculty member until they have an internationally recognized exemplary course with QM.
Yeah, and I imagine the faculty members seeing all of it put together, the alignment, the videos, the assessments, it must be quite a feeling for them.
We get a lot of positive feedback from it. And they say that a lot of times our process kind of pulls them through it very smoothly. And we try to do all the heavy lifting on the technology side. We only ask that they function as a subject matter expert, provide us with the content and their intent and their direction, and we try to handle the rest.
Nice, because at the end of the day, it's all about the students and how they can
Absolutely.
succeed.
We want our students to have the highest quality academic process and academic experience they can by coming through this process with our online courses. And so far, we've gone through a lot of phases. Like I said, we started, it was Cell 1001, is what it was called. And our instructional designers were doing a class and workshopping in the class with the professors. From there, we moved into doing teaching online pedagogy and practice. It became an 8-week online self-paced course to take them through and teach them how to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we started morphing into we should be doing these things for them to allow them to wear the 3 and 4 hats that faculty wear to start with. And we handle the instructional design. So that's kind of when I took over the team itself and said, let's go in a slightly different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And in that direction, we said, let's do planning. Let's get the course content from them. Let's do the course load ourselves. And then let's let them approve the work that we've done, have all the input they want to have in it, but we're not giving our faculty homework.
Mm-hmm.
We're not telling them you've got to go and do X, Y, and Z in order for this to be done. If they can give us the content, give us a syllabus, and meet with us to discuss as we work through it, it becomes more of a partnership.
Yes, and with that intentionality and not just building the courses, it helps us to create that community so that everyone feels like they have that sense of where they belong, so that way, if they're not sure of best practices for teaching online, we're able to help with that too through our process and everything.
Indeed. And community is a key word. We really want to be high tech with a human touch. As a result, we offer enough services to make sure they have everything they need within the Florida Atlantic ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So if there's a course that has never been taught before, we actually go into what we call our e-design process. If it's a course we haven't built before, and we sit down and work through that. If it's a course that they need to update, they can come back every 2 to 3 years and go through the entire update process with us, where it's either they want to start from scratch and revisit everything, or they just need to update their videos and some of the content and add things in. Because with the exception of maybe history, almost every field, something has changed in the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I guess in the nature of history, that's 3 more years of history.
Yeah, it does change, yeah.
So something changes all the time. So we ask everyone to come back. And if during the teaching of the course, there's a challenge. Maybe their course used to have a cap of 30 students, and now it has a cap of 90. And they're like, this assessment, I don't think I can handle, or it may not be appropriate for 90 students. We have a thing we call an open lab, where they can sign up, come in, and have someone sit down with them and work out any kind of pedagogical or instructional challenges they've incurred or they've run into, and we're there to help with those as well. Some courses, they have the course laid out exactly how they want it, but our template, because it's also ADA compliant, becomes a thing that they would like to have put into their course. If that becomes a situation, they can ask for what we call a grab and go. And we will meet with them virtually and actually get their content just loaded into our template so they can get back out the door and hit the ground running. So we try to give enough services, enough opportunities that all of the faculty, the instructors that are involved in teaching online students can get their needs met. We also have a workshop called Teaching Online Orientation, because there are times that you just found out you're teaching online and you've got 3 weeks to get ready. Mm-hmm. So we can't go through a full build with you sometimes, but we can get you familiar with what our services are, get you into our template, and let you be able to hit the ground running while we work with you in the future.
Very nice. And I believe that there's some other ways that we do provide that sense of community, especially with the new, because you did mention that there's always ever-changing discoveries and things always changing with any field that we're in. And so AI always plays into that.
It can, absolutely.
So we've definitely tried to create a community within our COSI neighborhood as well. And
yes, we've launched a thing called the Playground, where faculty encouraged to join us face-to-face or virtually. And we do about a 20 to 30 minute presentation about a solution, a tool, or a technique where artificial intelligence can be used in the classroom or enhancing the instruction that's being delivered. And then the rest of the time, another hour, hour and a half, faculty are just allowed to ask questions and experiment. We call it Playgrounds. We want it to be a safe place to play, to experiment, to see what can happen. It's not a formal workshop or course. It's every 2 weeks, come in, learn about one new thing, and bring all of your questions, all your what ifs. What if I tried this? I've got this situation. What can we do with it? And the team is there to explore with you and find answers. We don't have all the answers, but we love exploring and seeing if we can find them with you.
Yep, because we love to say, welcome to the world of what if.
That is us
Yes,
all day, every day.
That is us. So I wanted to thank you so much because you've made this day a very special day for our neighbors here at TOPkit.
Well, thank you very much.
So thank you for also sharing that map with us. But I wanted to take it over to our neighbors online, see if we had any questions.
All right. Is that one question? No?
Okay, just want to make sure.
All right.
One question.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Marilyn. I'm at Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. But
Oh.
my question has to do with the first part of the roadmap, okay? And I was just wondering, do you share that with anyone? I would like to see that piece of it.
The
I
planning
may have missed
document?
it. I'm sorry?
You're asking to see the planning document or which part of the...
What did you call it? The
roadmap itself, the visual
roadmap, but there was the first piece of it.
Can you put the roadmap up for us?
Before content development, the planning
The
document,
planning
that's what it
phase.
was, the planning one, yes, the planning phase. And you talked about the planning document.
Yes, if you can drop us an email at idesign@fau.edu.
Okay,
That's the letter I
okay,
and the word design
uh-huh,
at fau.edu.
fau.edu, okay. I will do that.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wonderful presentation.
Oh,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? No? All right.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Willie, for joining us.
You were quite welcome.
This is the end of our presentation for today.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
Take care,
everyone.
everyone.